Hey everybody, this is John Bohlinger with Premier Guitar. I'm with Rob McNelley and we're in Soundstage Studio in Nashville.
Yeah.
Rob, I bet you've spent a lot of time right here.
I live here. Yeah, I have spent a lot of time here. Yeah, the studio's around Nashville. Yeah.
Right. We were just saying before the cameras rolled that you've probably listened to your rig more through headphones than sitting next to your amp at this
Absolutely.
point.
No, zero idea what it actually sounds like.
Well, it sounds great. And for any of you out there that you've heard Rob's music, or you've heard his guitar on a ton of hit albums, and we're going to kind of get the behind the scenes. Yeah. Why don't we start with this right here? Tell me about this very cool Goldtop.
Yeah, well, this is something I've had for a while now. It's a 53 that I got. I traded a 62 SG to Victor Krause, incredible bass player. Your listeners probably already.
We did a rig rundown with him. Yeah, with the Krause and that nice gentleman from Led Zeppelin.
Oh yeah. What's his name?
They got a little band together. Yeah,
I saw that one. Now that so your viewers are familiar with him. But
Victor gave that up, huh?
So I had done a session at his house years before this, and I just forgot he had this guitar, and he was like, "Yeah, would you be interested in a trade?" And of course, you always want to hear about that option.
Sure, yeah.
And
everything.
I was going to trade him cash for cash, but he threw this in the mix, and I was like, "Yes, sir, I will take that." So we did a trade, and that's how I ended up with this. And I've used it so much over the years.
Now, is that the Joe Glazer bridge?
Oh, yeah. I should mention that. This is the Music City bridge. The bridge I had before these came out, I notched the spots, but I would have to redo it every year because it would start sitaring.
Sure.
But this bridge solves those problems. A lot of people already know about them, but if you don't know about them and you have a wraparound tailpiece guitar, you should invest in one of these for great intonation. And it also helped. The strings, I don't know if you can see this, but the strings a lot of times don't follow the magnets of the pickups on those wraparound bridges. This corrects that as well. And I mean, it's a tonal improvement.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. Yeah.
Joe is just a genius, man. He's a problem solver.
I love him.
Yeah.
He's got a solution for anything, and he's up for the challenge. So,
right. Yeah, he likes the challenge. He just has this, driven by this intellectual curiosity, he just finds a solution. Well, so I guess other than the bridge, it looks all like it rolled off the Kalamazoo in 1953.
That is true. It did suffer a headstock break before I got it, so that's
not uncommon.
That's what probably helped it to be an even trade. Right. But the thing that I've always wondered about, and it's so cool, is how tall these knobs are.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know the history of how I very rarely ever see another Goldtop. They've got shorter knobs, but this has the tall knobs, and I love that about it.
Yeah, I know the real early ones, the early 52 and 53 had those huge knobs. I know, because actually I learned that from Jared James Nichols. Who's got a 52 with these huge knobs, and then they changed. And the other cool thing is how low the Gibson is.
Right.
On that.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I love because of the whole Jeff Beck Oxblood thing.
Yes.
Same.
Yeah, man.
Same deal.
That's cool. Yeah. So I mean, it's all original. I think there's one pot change somewhere in one of the tone knobs or pots isn't original, but I can't tell. And I mean, these pickups sound killer. They're balanced, and the neck angle's right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these don't have the right neck angle for the over the bridge, the strings over the bridge. So it just plays great and it sounds great acoustically and plugged in.
What a great guitar.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So I guess on a session, you hear the song and then you kind of look at what you got and let it kind of speak to you. And decide?
Yeah.
Does this one go to the top of the pile often?
It does because, this is obviously, we use Telecasters a lot on a lot of the music around here, but sometimes if you still want that bigger, something a little fatter than a Tele, but somewhere that can twang,
right?
P90s is the next option to me.
Sure.
And this does that if you clean up the amp and you kind of just want a bigger than Tele sound, but reminiscent of that kind of twang.
Right. Well, Rob, it's interesting because we moved to town similar time, and remember when we first came here, they wouldn't let you cross a state line without a Telecaster. I mean, it was all Telecaster.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And it's just gotten heavier and heavier.
Yeah.
So
So I mean, these kind of guitars. I have a lot of different P90 guitars at home, and they cycle through in this world as well, based on which one has the freshest strings.
Right. Yeah, it's all. That's all very scientific.
That's how I decide if I've got a few different strats. It's like, which one's still in tune? This one.
All right,
you're coming with me. But this guy has been on a lot of different recordings. And
oh, that's great. So speaking of strings, what do you generally run?
Well, I like Dierks strings. They're great people, and I've been using their strings for a long time. And I use anything from 10s or typically on things that I have, but I also have some guitars always have 11s. All my Strats pretty much have 11s. I want a little bit bigger sound on a Strat than with 10s. And then I go on up to like 12 gauge flat wound strings on some things, or
Oof, that sounds like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but the sound is really why. Some guitars just don't respond to lighter string. I let the guitar I try different things on each guitar, and then once I like it, I leave it.
Sure. And I mean, everything you play is so under the microscope that you can get into that whole nuance and really listen.